The strategic balance of power in the Middle East has suffered a profound and potentially irreversible fracture. Over the last 48 hours, the United States military has absorbed some of the most devastating material losses in modern combat history. Precision strikes executed by Iranian forces have successfully penetrated heavily fortified American defense perimeters across multiple nations, destroying highly classified, irreplaceable aviation assets and pushing the region to the absolute brink of a full-scale, multi-front ground war. The long-standing perception of untouchable American air superiority has now been shattered, exposing vulnerabilities that were previously considered impossible to exploit. The immediate crisis centers on a highly coordinated multi-wave assault that combined ballistic missiles with first-person view FPV drone swarms, striking the Prince Sultan Air Base in Saudi Arabia with devastating accuracy. Confirmations regarding the scale of destruction are now emerging, and intelligence assessments paint an extremely grim picture. Snorts. The financial losses at this single installation alone have surpassed $1 billion in destroyed military equipment. However, the true impact extends far beyond monetary value. During the attack, Iranian munitions directly struck and completely destroyed several KC-135 Stratotankers, the critical aerial refueling aircraft that enable American fighters and bombers to sustain long-range operations across the Persian Gulf. Even more alarming was the confirmed destruction of an E-3G Century airborne warning and control system aircraft assigned to the 552nd Air Control Wing out of Tinker Air Force Base. This was not just another aircraft, it was a central command platform. The E-3G functions as the operational brain of aerial warfare, coordinating missions, tracking threats, and directing combat operations in real time. By destroying this platform on the ground, Iranian forces effectively blinded a significant portion of the American air defense network in the region. Without these airborne command centers, executing synchronized large-scale operations becomes extraordinarily difficult. The consequences of this loss ripple across every level of military coordination. At the same time, the human cost is rising. The Pentagon has confirmed that at least 12 American service members were in the strikes, with 2 reported to be in critical condition. Medical evacuation efforts are ongoing under extremely dangerous conditions as the surrounding airspace remains actively contested and unpredictable. Simultaneously, the Northern Front has erupted into chaos. Verified footage shows large-scale drone swarm detonations striking across the city of Erbil in northern Iraq. These attacks directly targeted the United States consulate, as well as nearby American military installations. The situation in Iraq has rapidly deteriorated into a complex two-front conflict. Iranian forces are now actively coordinating with Shiite militias inside Iraq, armed groups that have been formally authorized by the Iraqi government to engage American troops. In response, the United States has launched retaliatory strikes against these factions. This has transformed Iraq from a logistical staging ground into a fully active battlefield where American forces are now engaged against elements aligned with the host nation itself. The precision of these Iranian strikes has triggered immediate alarm across Western intelligence communities. Analysts widely agree that Iran alone does not possess the advanced satellite reconnaissance capabilities required to execute such highly targeted attacks on specific high V-value assets, especially in densely packed military airfields. Intelligence assessments strongly suggest that Iran is receiving real-time targeting data and surveillance support from Russia. This growing intelligence partnership is unfolding amid deeply contradictory political dynamics within Washington. While American assets are being destroyed using Russian-provided intelligence, the current administration continues to pursue diplomatic engagement with Moscow, including efforts to ease sanctions on Russian energy exports and expand economic dialogue. European leaders have reportedly issued urgent warnings, stressing that Russia is directly contributing to the destruction of American military capabilities in the Middle East. However, these warnings appear to have had little influence on current policy decisions. Instead of addressing the exposed vulnerabilities of fixed military installations, the United States appears to be preparing for a major escalation. Military logistics networks are now operating at full capacity, signaling the possibility of an imminent ground offensive. The amphibious assault ship USS Tripoli has entered the Central Command region carrying Marine Expeditionary Units trained for rapid deployment operations. Additionally, elements of the 82nd Airborne Division have been deployed into the theater, further reinforcing the buildup. Leaked Pentagon communications indicate that detailed operational plans for a ground invasion are already in place. These plans reportedly focus on the seizure of Kar Island, a strategically vital location in the Persian Gulf that serves as a central hub for Iran's oil exports. Any attempt to capture this island would require a large-scale amphibious assault combined with airborne operations, placing thousands of American troops in direct confrontation with heavily fortified defenses and continuous drone swarm threats. Additional strategies include aggressive operations along the Strait of Hormuz aimed at neutralizing anti-ship missile systems that threaten maritime traffic. When questioned about these developments, the White House press secretary stated that the Pentagon is simply providing the commander-in-chief with a full range of strategic options without confirming whether a final decision has been made. Despite this, reports from military families indicate that deployment orders are already being issued, suggesting that preparations for large-scale combat operations are well underway. Meanwhile, the economic consequences of this conflict are rapidly spreading across global markets. Brent crude oil prices have surged beyond $114 per barrel, with analysts warning of a potential spike to $130 or higher. Governments around the world are beginning to implement emergency measures in response. In Egypt, authorities have declared a national energy emergency, enforcing early business closures and mandating work-from-home policies to conserve fuel and electricity. The industrial sector is also under pressure. In Bahrain, Iranian strikes have damaged key facilities at Alba Aluminum, one of the largest aluminum producers globally, further disrupting already fragile supply chains. These economic disruptions are closely tied to the stability of global shipping routes, which are now under severe threat. While attention remains focused on the Persian Gulf, tensions in the Red Sea are escalating rapidly. The Houthi movement in Yemen has issued a clear warning that any direct American intervention will result in renewed attacks on commercial shipping. Previous disruptions in this region halted the majority of maritime traffic, and a repeat scenario combined with instability in the Strait of Hormuz could push global oil prices toward $200 per barrel, triggering a major economic crisis. At the same time, rhetoric from Iranian leadership has grown increasingly bold. Senior officials have openly mocked American strategic objectives, questioning the justification for military actions in the region. This escalation in rhetoric is accompanied by direct threats against civilian-linked institutions. Following strikes on Iranian infrastructure, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps has declared that American-affiliated the humanitarian cost of the conflict continues to rise at an alarming rate. Iranian health authorities report thousands of casualties, including a significant number of civilians and children. Images of destroyed residential areas and civilian suffering continue to circulate globally, intensifying international concern. While military officials maintain that strikes are targeting strategic assets, human rights organizations have raised serious concerns about the scale and proportionality of the operations. Military experts are now questioning the broader strategic approach taken by the United States. Lessons from recent conflicts, particularly in Eastern Europe, demonstrated the growing dominance of low-cost drone warfare over traditional high V-value military assets. Despite this, critical aviation resources were positioned in exposed locations, making them vulnerable to precisely the type of attacks now unfolding. Iran appears to have effectively adapted modern warfare tactics, deploying drone swarms and asymmetric strategies that have overwhelmed existing defense systems. As the Pentagon moves to reinforce its presence and prepare for potential ground operations, the official narrative continues to emphasize control and stability. However, the destruction witnessed at Prince Sultan Air Base presents a starkly different reality. The United States entered a rapidly evolving conflict with outdated assumptions, and the consequences of that miscalculation are now reshaping the global security landscape. Moving forward, the world will be closely watching troop deployments, energy market fluctuations, and the stability of critical maritime routes as this crisis continues to unfold. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the Global Newsroom channel. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.